Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is? Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And for those of you who like these type of videos, please remember to click like down below to offset those dislikes. And I'm going to be really harsh today. I saw a good friend of mine who is a coach link the conclusion to this whole SARMageddon project, and I have to look at it and say, and I'm just going to give tough love, this was an abysmal failure. An abysmal failure. So let me go ahead and put on my +5 hat of speechcraft and let's talk about this. And the reason I say that is that the guy really didn't get results. In other words, he took a substance that's technically legal. No laws are broken to my knowledge, particularly where he lives, that has legitimate pharmaceutical strength properties. And he ran this whole project and he got really natty results at best. In other words, where he finished on this project in terms of his strength, development, everything else, I'm sorry, brother, I could have gotten you personally. Just coaching you, I could have gotten you better results than that without you having taken anything at all, like taking nothing. And the reason I say that, you look at his lifts and everything, and I'm going to be really critical. The guy doesn't know how to deadlift, doesn't execute any form of deadlift correctly, tweaks his back all the time, talks about his lower back pain, and then wonders why he's still deadlifting novice numbers. I'm sorry, the amount of time you've been training, you should be pulling close to 500 pounds by now. This is a guy who's competed in powerlifting meets already too. And and I know he talks about, well, my genetics, my appetite. I'm watching him train. The training isn't intense. He's not training correctly. He's attempting to use conjugate style methods, but he's not really implementing them well. And what do I mean by the strength and his strength goals and him missing this stuff? He's taking legitimate SARMs, all right, and he's stacking stuff. He's stacking stuff. He's taking a SARM with a HGH stimulating secretagogue. All right, the results he got from his DEXA scan in terms of muscle mass is honestly the results that someone not even training would have gotten. Okay, you need to go look at the DEXA scans and the studies that have been done on like the MK that he's taking. The amount of muscle he gained has been done by non-lifters inside of that time frame off of that one thing in his stack in clinical trials. Now, people say, well, someone who's been lifting is going to gain less muscle, they're going to have less potential. That's true, but you need to put that in perspective. And the fact is, he lost muscle near the end. He's going, well, I struggled to eat enough, and if you look his last few weeks, he lost over a pound of lean tissue on DEXA scans while getting leaner, which means he's got an appetite issue on top of it. He's not able to put food down. And he lost a lot of body fat during that 14 weeks, a fair amount of body fat. It was like this was a better cutting stack than it was a size or strength stack for him with what he did. And the problem is you look at his lifts, like he sets these goals and he says, well, my goal was to get to 225 for reps on the bench press, and I blasted past that. I'm like, I don't know if you can bench 225 for more than a 1 rep max. And I'm being honest with the guy because I watched his dynamic work. Well, it wasn't dynamic, it was his heavy work. I'm watching what he's doing on the chains. All right, I bench a lot with chains, and I'm telling you, I see a 225 pause bench. If that was heavy for you with chains, and it was, that's challenging. You're a 225 bencher. We come over to the slingshot. He said, well, we can talk about the slingshot, but I hit 295, and he thinks he has a 295 bench because he hit 295 with a yellow slingshot and then, or 290, and then missed 300. And we had Mark spotting him. Do you understand there are guys who get 80 pounds out of that yellow slingshot? All right? There are guys getting like 80 pounds out of that yellow slingshot over their raw lift. You miss 300 with it, and you think 225 is a warm-up for you. 225 is like your max. And I'm just calling it objectively. I don't know the guy. I have no personal bias against this person. I have no reason to hate on him or anything. I'm just looking at what I'm seeing in the training footage. I'm looking at what I see in the training footage. Same thing, he talks about, well, I wanted to get to a 300 squat. I didn't reach that goal. Then I watch him box squat. Hey, I'm a fan of the box squat. I box squat twice a week. You're doing 275 you did a double off of a high box. All right, first off, you're not actually box squatting. You're not sitting back. You're tapping the box. That box is 4 inches, 5 inches above parallel. All right, let's come back and put that in perspective. It's like guys who come and tell me, oh, I can box squat as much as you do, Jason, then I see their box squat. I'm like, well, you need to go about 6 inches lower, and then we can talk. Like, you're going to have to take 100 pounds off the bar. But, you know, fine, whatever, man. You box squat 425 for X number of reps on an 18-inch bench. All right, go down to a 12-inch box. That 425 is going to turn into 315 for the same number of reps. But, brother, you're high boxing. All right, you're high boxing, and then you talk about tweaking your lower back and all these back issues. You don't see the problem here. So let's come over to his lower back issues and his deadlift. He stands right there and says, well, my goal was to get to whatever deadlift, and I managed to get 315 for a couple doubles. It's like, wow, this is like Jesse 2.0. This is like Jesse from Athlean X on SARMs. You're doing touch and go deadlifts. Let's come back over to my point. I know some very elite coaches who will argue with me on this, and they'll say, like, I use some touch and go deadlifts. That's great, but does this guy need to be using them? In other words, a 700-pound deadlifter for certain forms of overload might do some true tight touch and go deadlifts. All right, fine. A 400-pound deadlifter has no business doing that stuff. A 400-pound deadlifter, unless it's a woman, doesn't even have the experience to know how to touch and go in the way that these guys are talking about. The reason I always say don't touch and go is because 99.9% of the population will, number one, never benefit from it. Number two, will not have the body awareness and experience to do so safely. They'll end up herniating discs for no real benefit. I understand when a 700-pound deadlifter does some triples with I understand it. I will never promote that on my channel because almost none of you are ever going to be at the level to where you're going to get a benefit to where it might help you add 5 pounds to your deadlift one day. You're just not. So therefore, we don't need to discuss it because it's too dangerous for the majority of people. This guy is doing touch and go with light weights. And then he's like doing that wagon wheel thing, right? And he's tapping, he's bouncing it off the floor. All right? And then he talks about tweaking his lower back. You don't think that not deadlifting correctly is the problem? Do you just remember, this is on Mark Bell's channel. Mark, I just covered a video he did a while back talking about singles and completely releasing and resetting on every rep. So treating them as individual reps, like a 5-rep set, coming in and completely turning loose to the bar, standing up, resetting, and pulling singles that way. He just talked about that. And then we had this guy touch and going badly, and then talking about his lower back hurting. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a person who really doesn't know how to train, who has access to some great coaches, has access to all this equipment. The guy's got access to hip belt squats, specialty bars, bands, chains, a monolift, adjustable boxes. All right, this guy has access to a better training environment than 95% of you out there will ever have at any point in your life until you go find one to pay for it and travel. All right, he has access to a perfect training environment. All right, that's the sort of environment where guys get to 600-pound raw squats, 700-pound raw deadlifts, 400 benches. All right, that is the sort of environment that happens in. He has a perfect training environment. He's not utilizing any of the tools correctly. All right? Not utilizing them correctly. And he's like, well, I'm talking to this expert and that expert. And it's like, yeah, you're dealing with these people who are helping you with nutrition. You're dealing with people like Mark Bell who know how to lift. And you're not even going to bother to learn how to lift. Because the lifting is a problem. Your training is a problem. Your programming is a problem. Your execution of these lifts is a problem. There's a reason you're still weak. There's a reason you're getting hurt. You simply do not know how to train. And then let's come back around and talk about the nutrition end. Struggles to keep body weight on. Lost body fat all the way through and lost muscle near the end, even with an exogenous substance in his body. Lost muscle in the last few weeks. How good a nutrition advice are you really getting? I don't know that you are, brother. I don't know that you are. So all in all, I look at this, and I've said early on I was really skeptical. This is a guy who needs to learn how to train and build his base correctly. I said that. He needs to build his base. He needs to get up some respectable numbers, then maybe look into some of this stuff if it's an option. And that's surprising that so many people said they've been following this series and are interested in it. It was not a good series. It was bad. This is somebody who legitimately has no business touching anything. This is someone who legitimately needs to learn the fundamentals of training, needs to learn to utilize the equipment he has available to him, build a base. He still doesn't have a real strength base. And then look into stuff like that. I don't have a problem with somebody going that route who's built a base, but he's trying to just never really learn how to train, never really apply himself, and then go on a bunch of SARMs and think that that's going to fix the problem. It doesn't, guys. And this goes to show you that even his shortcut, even his enhanced shortcut, he still finished weak. He still finished with natural novice numbers. He still finished with lifts that plenty of guys who are completely clean do inside of 1 year walking into the gym with proper instruction. How many years in is this? And this is 14 weeks into a SARM stack. It wasn't using a SARM, it's a stack. It just blows my mind, guys. And maybe people are going to be like, you're being overly critical. I really don't think that I am. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.